I'm taking one more step in. There you go.
That's good. Quinshon, what has it been like seeing your face on these college football magazines and you're on these All-American teams? What has this whole experience been like?
Honestly, I haven't been paying attention to it. I think staying focused and doing what got you here and remain humble and just being blessed. Grateful for everything that's happened through this whole process.
How has time been going for you so far? I mean, coming off your freshman season, going into all this madness.
Yeah, today has been really good. I got here earlier. I've done a lot of broadcast stations so far, and I'm enjoying the process with my teammates, so it's been awesome.
There's been a lot of comparison to some legendary running backs. Is there someone that you look up to that fuels your passion?
I wouldn't say anyone that I look up to. It's a lot of great running backs in the history of football and college and the NFL. A lot of people that I look after their games that are great players, but no one in particular.
Quinshon, I looked it up. So you are the youngest person here for SEC Media Days. Does that make it feel a little bit more surreal, being able to come this young?
Yeah, it definitely does. To be selected by my coaches and just to be here and represent the school, the university, and everybody at my school, it's awesome.
Quinshon, Lane talks about rat poison all the time, staying away from that stuff or whatever. And when you had a year like you did last year, breaking so many records, that even as a freshman too, there's obviously going to be a lot of noise about all that stuff. Has he spoken to you about kind of the rat poison side of things, and how have you kind of dealt with all of the praise?
Yeah,
I'm sure
often.
It's been overwhelming.
Often, definitely often. Every time it's some recognition, not every single time, but often if it's some recognition about something that I've completed, he's there to remind me, remain doing this, or, don't pay attention to those things. And it's great to have someone like that around.
Is there anyone on the offense that you expect to have a breakout season as a newcomer like you did this past season?
I think our receivers will have a big season, just throwing the ball deep. The receiver group that we have in the room, a lot of new guys that are coming in, a lot of new bodies in the room, and chemistry has been building great with the QB, so I think we'll have a big season throwing the ball.
What has impressed you about Kedrick since he's gotten here this summer, and how have y'all kind of been able to work together?
I think the whole room has really impressed since the first day. Everybody new has came in. A lot of people are learning new things. Chemistry has been great with all the running backs in the room. Everybody's learning the schemes of the defense well, and we're right about time where we should be around this time.
What do you think the next step in your game is personally?
I think in my game, the next step is just showcasing that I can really do everything on the field as a running back. The complete running back. I think I've done that last year, but now I'm just taking it a step further in year 2 with the knowledge that you have and everything else that you know. And you put all those things together, I think it'll be really good.
Is there anything like specifically in terms of in the game Lane was talking about, footwork, pass protection for you? Is there any like other specific goals that you have this year in terms of improving your game personally?
Yeah, like really just, in year 2, when as a freshman you really don't know I would say not what you're doing, but when you're out there, it's things that you don't really know and that you can better your game at. So year 2, when you put all those things together with pass protection, running routes, not even just out the backfield, but anywhere on the field, and just producing.
When towards the end of the season, people really started to realize kind of what your game was. You were facing those 6-man boxes.
Right.
Whenever you go up to that, like what are you thinking when you see that? Having to deal with that.
Those things, they weren't difficult to me. I would just say, I expect it to happen, and when those things happen, that just means that you have to work harder, and I believe in our coaches to put me in the best position to beat those 8-man or 6-man boxes or whatever it is.
Not only is this kind of the start to your season, but it's also summer football camp season for a lot of high schoolers. And I noticed you're doing your own football camp. What does it mean to you to give back to the community at such a young age?
Definitely means a lot. In Oxford, I'm not from here, so I see guys like JJ McGee's and people that are from the community that are giving back to the community. So it's awesome to be a part of that and just do something for a big cause that's bigger than myself.
When and Jackson both sort of grew up in this offense last year, how much more comfortable does he look now?
Definitely way comfortable. He's older, more mature. He knows a lot more about the offense and the defenses that we face. Coming into year 2 in the SEC, it's a different conference from where he came from originally. So in his second year here, I think he's more mature and he'll be ready to face everybody.
You had Zach in the room last year, kind of that veteran presence. Just now that he's gone, you're kind of the guy of that room. How do you kind of handle that, or just how you're approaching him as a sophomore?
I handle it well. I think I handle it well, with the younger guys in the room and even older people in the room like Ulysses, that's way older than me. So it's just like you just handle it well and just continue to inspire those guys and just lead by example.
Going off of that, how were you able to learn from Zach last year?
I think I was able to learn by Zach in a very positive way. He taught me certain things that you won't typically know as a freshman. So I think he taught me a lot of things that were helpful.
Lane talked about 40 of 85 players being new last year was something that he could have handled better, and he talked about y'all losing 4 of your last 5. That may have played a role, y'all not having all those years together and inexperience at the end of it. What did you think kind of was the main culprit of y'all kind of stumbling at the end of the year, and what did you kind of learn from that experience to move into next year to make sure it doesn't kind of happen again?
I think last year, after that 7-0 run we had, I think we failed due to injuries because we didn't have a lot of depth. We didn't have a lot of young players that were prepared and ready to go when a lot of older guys or role players that we had that needed to go in got hurt. So I think that was really our fault.
What's the relationship like with the offensive line off the field? I know Zach was joked a couple times last year they would buy some offensive lineman steak dinners and all that, but just what's that kind of like off the field as far as kind of building that chemistry?
Yeah, my offensive line and my relationship is great. I think I'm around them majority of the time, like compared to anybody else on the team, I'm around them, and that's just not even on the field, that's off the field as well, because we all genuinely have a bond on the team and we all have a great relationship.
We've all seen that picture of Lane in the stands watching one of your games. Have you thought how far you've come since then? It's got to be a lot.
No, I didn't really pay attention to it, but I see that picture often if somebody retweets it or something like that. But it's a great reminder to see where I've come from him being in my high school games to now being in the stadium of 65,000. It's crazy.
What have you seen from Aiden Williams at the receiver since he's started to come on campus?
Yeah, a young guy like Aiden coming in, learning from older guys in the room. You don't have guys like Mingo or anything, but you have a lot of guys who have experience who come from other schools. So to have him in the room, to be a playmaker, I think it's great. A great opportunity for him to prove himself and show his skills.
What's been your assessment of kind of the quarterback room and that competition that's been taking place there?
I'm very confident in every quarterback in the room. I think all of those guys are great at what they do. They have specific skill sets. They're different from some of them are different from each other, but I think they all can contribute in their own ways.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say what you did last year was not a 3-star prospect performance.
Yeah.
Why do you think the recruiting services missed on you the way they did?
I think I was just underrated coming out of high school. Sometimes recruiting services miss. I think at the end of the day that doesn't really matter. By the recruiting services, the service doesn't really matter. It's just the player.
Going back to that one photo that everyone sees, do you recall if that was just one of your better games of that season?
Of high school?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I think I scored 3 times in that game, something like that, right in front of him. So it's a pretty cool experience. Yeah.
Does that photo hit you differently now, just knowing that he's Lane and all this was kind of there
Yeah,
from the start?
definitely, because every time I see that photo, it reminds me of just Coach Kiffin just being there from the start, because he wasn't there just my senior or anything. He was recruiting me since early on in my high school career, since 9th or 10th grade. So he's been there earlier on throughout the whole process.
When you finished that game, how do you feel knowing he was watching the whole time?
Pretty cool. I was like, okay, I did pretty good. But he was there, though, to tell me I did pretty good and stuff like that, yeah.
Was that late in the season, or was it kind of cold outside? Or?
Yeah, it was 40 degrees, and he was sitting there shivering after the game, so it was really cold, yeah.
Cedric Johnson mentioned earlier that he was trying to prepare you and DeAndre for media days today. How well would you say that he prepared you for it, and how well would you say that how much have you enjoyed just being around the media all day today?
I enjoy being around the media. I got asked a lot of questions, not based on football, about me personally. A lot of people getting to know me and things like that. So I think it's been a great experience. I think he prepared me good enough. I think he could have did a little better, but he did pretty good. So yeah.
Was any newcomers or just guys from last year kind of impressed you in the weight room and these off-season workouts?
Yeah, a lot of guys. Our whole team, like I said, our chemistry is unbeaten. I think everybody works the same, if not harder. You got some guys who just push and strain a lot of the times, and I think that's what really drives us to be the team that we're going to be this year.
Obviously, you being a young player last year, and you have a guy who's coming in to play a quarterback who's barely even 16 years old yet. I mean, he's just kind of, what would be your advice to him just to handle yourself as a football player, just as a student athlete?
I think someone coming in like that at the last minute, in the summertime like he did, is just to learn as much as you can, because we're less than 54 days away from the season. So as much as possible as you can from the older guys in the room like Jackson or Spencer, and just take their advice and just compete and be the best that you can.
Quinshon, you talked about Lane recruiting you really hard, and the fact that, you know, being a 3-star, then obviously last year way beyond 3-star production. Does the fact that he was after you so hard that early and then seeing it pay off so well in your first year, does that kind of strengthen your relationship even more with him and this program? And does that, you know,
Yeah, definitely. I think so, because when you get to college, a lot of the times college coaches don't actually, you know, I wouldn't say they don't mean what they say, but sometimes it could be later on in the process. But he told me I could come here and what I could do and what I did this past season. He everything he said I could do in high school, and he promised that. And to come here and actually do it, it means a lot from his word. So the trust just definitely strengthens.
Mississippi State, they had some pretty good swag on their shoes, and I just happened to look down.
Yeah.
You got some pretty neat shoes going on. What went into that decision?
Last minute. Last minute. Yeah.
Last minute?
Yeah.
That's a good last minute choice.
Thanks.
Good.
Thank you.